Hello and welcome back to the Knack for Adventure YouTube channel. My name's AJ Color, and for today's video, we are going to be making a curtain for the back of our van. Alright, this works. This is gonna be perfect. I don't know where all of my tape measures went. Ready to? Our bed is nestled right here in the back of the van. Let me show you what it looks like right now, and then we'll take some measurements and start forming a plan. So as of right now, if we were to open the back of the van and it was during like a snowstorm, perchance, all of the elements and all the moisture would definitely get onto our bed. And if we're staying somewhere multiple nights and this is our only place to be warm and comfortable, we definitely want to prevent that from happening as much as possible. So my plan is to create some sort of curtain for just the top half so we can still access this storage space below. And I wanted to have a couple other features. I want it to be machine washable, so if it gets dirty or wet, I can just toss it in the washer or dryer. I want it to be movable, so kind of like little curtains that I can push to the side so we can still get that view out the back. I want it to be a little bit more rigid as well, so that it actually does protect from the elements and isn't just like blowing in the back here. I also want it to be insulated, so I'm gonna kind of create a sleeve for the insulation, and the insulation can act as that wall or barrier. Lastly, I just want to make sure that it also attaches to the bottom of the bed frame right here, something that will fasten pretty securely. So I'm just gonna grab some measurements and then we'll draw something out. Alright, I drew up a little diagram. Here's the back of the van. Here's where the curtain will be covering, or the curtains, I guess there's two. It's 65 inches across on the top, 72 inches or 6 feet on the bottom, and then it's 35 inches from the bottom to the top. So those are the measurements we're going to be taking into account. And here's the design that I'm thinking. So it's basically going to be one big piece of fabric kind of like wrapped around this cable. Be a seam here, and then one end will be longer than the other, so it can kind of fold up on this bottom and create a little envelope that will hold the insulation. All right, so I have this giant sheet that I'm going to repurpose for kind of the base of the curtain. Just going to make sure that it is big enough because it needs to fold over. All right, this is definitely long enough, definitely wide enough. My intention is for the sheet to just be a base, and then we're gonna go search for some sort of heavier, maybe more water resistant fabric that we can put on the outside that faces the exterior of the van. So we're gonna check out 2 thrift stores first before we buy new, and then I've also gotta get some magnetic buttons of some kind. Ready to? I found 2 different fabrics that I really like. However, I'm trying to just make it hard on myself because both fabrics are just a little bit too small than the van opening that I measured. I got them secondhand, so that's just kind of all that was there, and this is what I'm gonna work with. I did find a big enough piece of fabric to cover the entire curtain, but I ultimately decided that it was too heavy. So these 2 fabrics I found are pretty light. I like the color, so we're gonna try and combine those to make a big enough curtain. But first we have to start with the foundation of this curtain, which is this sheet that is behind me that Momo and Jojo are so graciously just napping on. Here I have just this flat sheet that kind of just sits in our closet. So I folded it 2 times this side a little bit less than this left side. And then we are going to sew along here and kind of create a little envelope where you can open this and access this little pocket. And so this is where the insulation will go. I feel like I should be wearing safety glasses or something, so let's get to it. So the top is 65, but I'm gonna add a little bit for a hem. All of my crafts are just play toys for cats. And then the height is 35 inches. Oh my gosh, impeccable. This is gonna work so perfect. This bedsheet is like the perfect size. And I won't even have to do a lot of cutting. And the bottom is 72. I'm just gonna double check that the insulation works in here. We're gonna do some patchwork on the insulation too. This is gonna be perfect. Did it again. All right, I hope this works. This is like pretty lightweight too. Compact.
Here's a look at the stiffer fabric that I found. At this point, I'm trying to stitch it to the base of the curtain that will face the outside of the van. I also decided I wanted a little bit more color, so instead I extended the stiffer fabric with a quilt that I already had in my scrap fabric bin.
All right, we've got one last little test to see if the insulation fits. Pretty well. So it's just tucked into this little envelope. The center part of this little folder gets a little baggy, so I'm just gonna chop the curtain in half so that envelope stays a little bit tighter and we can part the curtains to each side. Now the last thing we have to do is create little pockets for the magnets. Here are the placements, and I'm just gonna create little pockets on the underside of this fabric so that magnets can stick to the bed frame and it all like clamps it closed. All right, these can just tuck in here. Perfect. This has taken me so much longer than I expected. But we're finally at the point that we can go and test them out in the van. All right, we got all the stuff, but Nick just showed me the coolest thing he did. He put our ski rack on the bottom of the bed. That looks so clean. And now we have room to fit a bunch of other stuff.
We hung up the curtains using a cable that is attached to hardware on either side of the van. One side is also detachable, so in case we wanted to take off the curtains for any reason.
How's that? That looks pretty good. I think we need to tighten this top cable, but other than that, that protects our bed pretty well.
After tightening the cable, we still had some space up at the top of the van. I didn't anticipate so much sag, but otherwise this design was very much a success. The insulation can be easily taken in and out with this envelope design. However, my magnet fasteners were not as practical as I had envisioned. The curtains were heavy enough to stay put, and they didn't actually need a closure at the bottom to contain the insulation. Either way, that function is there if I do need it. We put the new curtains to the test during a very snowy trip to the Mammoth Film Festival, and I was quite impressed on how they handled. The added insulation was helpful for cold nights, and our bed was way more protected when Nick had to open the back doors to wipe off the solar panels when the snow was coming at us at like almost an inch an hour. But that's a story for next time. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our other social channels for more outdoor and ski content. Thanks so much for watching, and keep on crushing.